Hello, in this video I will be showcasing multiplayer. Originally I was only supposed to supervise multiplayer development, but due to management issues I had to do it myself. For syncing Unity editors we used Parallel Sync, while for multiplayer itself we used Mirror plugin. We used Mirror instead of Photon because we needed a dedicated server who handled all physics as well as all calls, rather than being it hosted due to the game's competitive nature and requirement for hack prevention. Also, it was more economically beneficial because we could host multiple rooms on a single server. Currently what you are seeing is the server side of the game. So the server and client consists of mainly three systems. The Messenger system, which handles calls from between the client and the server and essentially sends information like position, direction, speed, initialization values that are required, and so on and so forth. As for the multiplayer, second is just Mirror plugin with some custom scripts to handle other message. Loading itself, as we are using addressables, so there are a bit of a different way how we spawn objects. And of course room. Room is an abstract script. There are two things: client room handler and server room handler. Server room handler handles all the rooms, calls messages and listens to client messages essentially, and the client room handle can only handle one room. These are for debugging. I can simulate clients, add clients essentially to a room just to see how it is loaded. As for the client side, it's the room itself. Client room handle, it can handle only one room. Server can handle hundreds of rooms. So now let's initialize. Looking for players. These are the messages that received and sent. Player connections are essentially network identities, and the client itself can only see their own player messenger to the server, and server can see all the player messengers. All server room sees all player information, while the clients only see minimal information. So for example, client A knows that he's in position 1 and his own profile information, while what he knows about client B is, for example, only his name. There's no other information being sent to the client A, because it's not necessary for client A to know anything about client B itself. These buttons are for debugging, so we can see total rooms that are currently active, the game mode type, how many players, room ID, states, and etc. All rooms are hashed and handled through dictionaries. Also, rooms are all rooms that exist, while lobby rooms are rooms that are currently active and clients can join them. Connections are the connections that exist. So it says that in room ID 0 this client is connected to. It's pretty basic. This allows me to add simulated clients, as many as I want, with the disparity that I desire. If it's 0, it will add client instantly. If it's 10,000, it will add set amount of clients between 0 and 10,000. This sets the game mode that I want the clients to join. So before initializing the game, I will just notify that I was not tasked to develop any GUI elements. So it's a bit of a mess when loading. Now let's add the client. It will appear between 1 and 10 seconds. The client has appeared. The The server has already loaded in the map. The client is still loading the map for, as you can see. Once it's loaded, all values are loaded in. This is the camera. Now the game is actually active for the player. And that's the start of the game. Now I will be showcasing the server side. So map 4 is loaded. The server doesn't load the map because it's actually quite efficient. The scene itself is loaded through compression algorithms and through addressables. I know that it's loaded during the server, so it's all ignored. Only the colliders themselves are loaded in. All simulations and physics are done within the server, while the client only sees and sends information how the game should be played out. Now, as you can see, we can add more rooms. So let's add another 100 players, and let's click the button. As you can see, it loads quite fast, and the game itself is actually still running. This is information which happening when it's loaded, etc. We pretty much added 50 rooms, and it's quite effective. Now let's remove 50, and you will notice that certain rooms will start disappearing. Let's remove another 30. And we can add and remove, everything works just as well. The messenger itself is pretty basic, just IDs and bytes. It compresses itself and sends, receives. There are listener scripts that can subscribe to certain events. How we set up sending messages and position messages is that it is sent every turn instead of within the update, but it can be sent anytime, anywhere. Validation is pretty simple. Check if server client, check the values, if the values are correct, and handle the process. We didn't need hosting because it's a competitive game, so there is no host, only client and server. That's about it for multiplayer. Thank you for watching.